Okay, this is a video I took a couple months ago. Obviously, it's the old shop. If memory serves correctly, I think I pull the engine. I'm not sure what else I do, but it should be good. And so I'm just gonna kind of go through what I'm doing here and we'll see what we get. Got the shop here. I missed that air compressor. All right, so we're in front of a PW50. You can see all the ones in the background we were doing there, probably getting ready for mini rippers or something like that, I would think. So I'm removing the two bolts that go in the back and hold the plastics on. And you might have a tire guard there, the black rear fender thing. So you pull those two out, plastics come right off. Next I'll usually tackle the exhaust. So I believe that one is a 10 millimeter bolt. You got 10s and 12s. These are gonna be two 10s. So I'm going at my 10s first, it looks like. So we'll pull these out from the exhaust manifold. Just getting the bike up on the stand. The power ratchet might scare some people, but I've done this before. I leave one of those ratchet 10 millimeters on that bench at all times for this specific reason. It stays right there. I used to tie a string to one, so I think I just swapped out to my 12, and now I'm gonna tackle all my 12s, strip it up nice and good. It's an old bike. Get that out of the way. Just make sure it's locked up. Usually I'll get it by hand right there and then ratchet it out. You can use T-handles if you want. Those were two housing bolts, 12 millimeter that I pulled out there, and then the 12 millimeter rear shock bolt. Went through all my 10s, now I'm going through all my 12s. So you got the exhaust, the swing arm, pulling the swing arm off here. There's a little threaded rod it can get stuck on. Pull that 19 mil in the back, so grabbing a wrench. Hopefully I'll be able to get it off with a wrench. Yeah, no problemo. Sometimes I really stick them on there. That's a part that it falls off, that spacer comes out, you don't have an extra one, you're done for the day. So getting that rear axle 19 off. I've had to borrow them from a kid named Axel's dad before. Okay, all this is to get your back tire off. So you have to do a tire change. I do all this. Back tire out of the way. You see that washer inside there? It's kind of jiggling around on the axle. It's a thin washer. You got to make sure that's present in all builds you do. A lot of people lose that the first time they take their back tire off. So we're looking at the carb and the air box. Getting in here with a Phillips. Careful not to strip this one out. Set of Japanese screwdrivers helps, but these number 2 drivers that you get at Harbor Freight are pretty good too with the blue handle. Make sure you get the bigger one. So I'm pulling the air box. Had to get the Phillips screw out of the back there, and then the little push clip that you pull off of there. Now I'm kind of jiggling the carb free off the manifold there. I'm probably just pulling the engine, so I think I'm gonna go grab a zip tie. Sounds like it. Your carb can leak if it gets, if it's hanging on its side or whatever. So one thing I do when I'm working on a lot of bikes is just kind of zip tie the carb up to the frame by the fuel line here. It just kind of gets it out of the way if it might have the engine off the chassis for an extended period of time. And I'm pulling the oil pump cover on the right side of the bike, and that's just a couple rides, guys. Nothing a little WD-40 won't fix, but your throttle can get hung up if it's that oil injector gets a piece of your throttle cable too. So when people tell you the throttle can get hung up on the oil injector, it's because dirt gets into this oil injector, and that whole mechanism works on a spring, and if you got a bunch of dirt in that spring, it's not going to turn. So you want to keep this area clean and clear and free of debris, and you want to get some lube in there, either some of many kinds you can use. WD-40 works great though. Obviously there's white spray grease and just some other things you can pick up. You'll find them all at like a auto zone. Okay, so you're gonna go in here. You got Phillips screwdriver. They can be tough to get out, but eventually you'll get her out there. That's the benefit of having the right screwdriver. So there's 2 ways to remove the oil injector. You can remove everything connected to it up here, or if you want to keep the oil injector in the engine, or if you're just doing an engine pull, What I do is I just loosen these two Phillips screws, get them out of there, and I pull the oil injector out of the engine, and I'll zip tie it up to the frame while I'm working on a bike's engine. It can be a little tough wedging these out sometimes. Sometimes you got to pry it a little bit from the back with a flathead screwdriver. Be careful, you will dig into that case a little bit when you have to do that. And I'm zip tying it to the frame because I'm just doing an engine pull in this. So we get that zip tied up to the frame. Okay, you're gonna see my electrical on the right, and you're gonna have a couple bullet connectors you're gonna pull apart. If we're just pulling the engine, all we have to worry about is disconnecting the stator from the electrical system, from the wire harness. So you're gonna have a triple clip, a little triple connector, and then you'll have two single bullet connectors. Trying to show them there, but it didn't look like it focused on it. You see the triple connector right there, plastic white one, and then the two bullet connectors. Oh, there, they focused. See them? Okay. This bike is so dirty. I think the first thing in the manual I tell people is to like clean the bike before they do this. And I did. This thing was filthy. At this shop, we didn't have a hose. So I was like doing simple greening out of a little spray thing I had. And then eventually I got a pressure washer I could do with like a 5-gallon bucket, but I didn't have it yet. 14s, pull off the engine mount nut and the engine mount bolt in opposite directions. Sometimes you got to put a pry bar or impact. Sometimes you got to get a little crazy to get those off if it hasn't been taken off in a while. And that's how you pop the axle nut out, ideally, if you don't get jammed up. Pull in the rear brake cable, number 12 millimeter socket. Just get that whole assembly pulled apart. You'll have a spring, and grab her by the tail and pull her out. And you'll have your oil injector hanging right there. It's not no work. You can tell by my breathing. And I think that was pretty much, yeah, that was pulling an engine.